Ja'Whaun, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm well. I'm well.
Well, obviously another big one this week, and you're going to be without a couple guys on the defense side of the football that are big difference makers. Guys had some time this week to get ready for that, but talk about those guys and how big of a loss they are when it comes to this defense.
I mean, obviously the loss of like Judon and Zoe definitely a key pieces for us as far as the defense is concerned. But other than that, we've already prided ourselves in the next man up kind of mentality, and no doubt in my mind that the guys we have in place are ready to go. So I feel like as a defense, we'll be ready. We'll be ready for sure.
So, Ja'Whaun, what do you think you guys have to do defensively, especially to get back in a position where you can get on a winning track and make sure you're slowing down, that Saints offense?
We got to make sure we continuously doing our part as a defense. We got to worry about what we got going on this side of the football, as well as far as like who they have on the offense. As far as Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, obviously they present a lot of problems for teams. So we just got to make sure we're all on the same page and everybody just doing their job, not thinking too much about everything, but just more so focus on your individual job.
Ja'Whaun, I know that you said after the loss on Sunday that overall that you guys just had to learn from it. In a position like yours, a veteran captain, how do you make sure that you keep your teammates accountable but also not focused on the negative and looking forward to just trying to get some wins under your belt?
I mean, I feel like wins and losses is definitely a part of the game. Obviously, we wanted to be undefeated at this point in the season, and obviously we didn't get off to the start that we wanted to. But we got to keep going. We got to continue to keep our head down and focus on the topic at hand, which is the Saints at the moment. So we got to make sure everybody on the same page and recognizing what the big picture is and what your individual picture is, and I think that'll bode as well.
How important is it getting J.C. Jackson back?
It's definitely great for us. JC, obviously a dynamic player. Not really going to talk about what he had going on and with the Chargers, anything like that, but he's with us now, and we're excited to have him.
Ja'Whaun, one of the areas last year where you guys were extremely productive, one of the best teams in the National Football League, was creating turnovers. What do you feel like this year you're not doing to kind of create those turnovers that you need to get better at, and so we can get back to kind of replicating some of the stuff that you did last year when it came to creating turnovers?
Well, I think we just got to do a bit better job of just creating them for ourselves, just attacking the football at all times. Obviously, I think at the first two games we had a couple. We just got to get back to that, and I think we will this week.
Ja'Whaun, we used to ask Devin McCourty about this a lot last season, but I'd be interested to know your thought. Is there ever an issue in the locker room when it comes to if the defense is performing really well, but the offense can't seem to get points on the board? Is there ever a struggle there where you guys feel like you're putting all your effort in and you're tired by the end of the game, but you guys have to keep going out there because the offense just can't stay out there long enough?
I would say that when you think about like the perfect game is when every team is kind of clicking on all cylinders, and most of the times that's just not going to be the case. You're just playing the NFL with a lot of great teams. So anytime that the offense is doing well and the defense is doing now, we look to lean on each other. So right at the moment, we just got to continue to lean on each other. But as far as like, I guess friction or something in the locker room, there's none of that for sure. We always just got to focus on what we got to do, and that goes back to everybody just focusing on their individual jobs and not thinking about everything, because you can't physically think about everything. You gotta focus on your job, and that in turn of everybody doing the same thing will lead us in the right direction.
Wiggy says basically every week he declares it a must-win. From the outside, this looks like a must-win for Mac Jones, must-win for this team, must-win for Bill Belichick. Are you guys looking at it the same way?
I mean, I'm just speaking for myself personally. It's always the most important one because it's the next one. That's all we could worry about. Like I said, our focus is nowhere else except on the Saints. So that's where we at right now.
Ja'Whaun, when you look at, like, I remember when I played, a lot of times we used to look at things we did in the past and how not to maybe run into some of those problems, or what could we do to maybe replicate some of the success. Last year you guys were in a similar situation, starting 1-4. Is there anything that you can take from that last year to kind of maybe help you moving forward this year, being in a similar situation?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is self-scouting yourself and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, seeing what teams view you as versus how we view ourselves, things like that. Different schemes have been working against us, and obviously you just got to go in there week after week. I think we did a good job of just kind of dialing it back a little bit and seeing how teams see us and different plays and different issues that we've been having on the defensive side of the ball as well as the offensive side of the ball as well. So now we just look to kind of improve and tighten up the loose screws on those kind of things.
Were you guys embarrassed on Sunday? Was that sort of the sentiment on the field?
I mean, anytime you come up with a big loss like that, or just having the score as like it was, it's definitely not nothing you want to leave the field. Definitely the sour taste in your mouth.
Ja'Whaun, one of the things that, obviously being a player in that locker room, and I think the hardest part is people on the outside, they don't really know how you guys deal with it. How do you deal, like you talk about some of players in the locker room, dealing with not getting it to a point where when things ain't going right, pointing fingers. How do you guys make sure that you don't have that seep into the locker room?
I think the main thing is ignoring the outside noise. Anybody that's not in this building, we're not really concerned ourselves with different opinions from other people except from the people that put the work in with us. So at the end of the day, we all just look to execute. We are our own worst critics, so we always like to have that accountability aspect of everything. But at the end of the day, everybody's got to focus on their job, and that's the thing.
All right, Ja'Whaun, thanks for taking the time, as always, every week, and we will talk to you again next week.
All right, appreciate you.
All right. That is Ja'Whaun Bentley.